What happened when an undercover CEO walked into his own bike repair shop and discovered his employees were burned out, disrespected, and barely holding on? Hey there, brilliant listeners. You've got amazing taste for clicking on this video because today's story is all about truth, leadership, and second chances. If you believe great companies are built from the ground up and not just the top floor, this one's going to hit you right in the heart. Get ready for a journey of hidden identities, broken systems, and a powerful turnaround you won't forget. Let's join in. Elliot Grant sat in his downtown office, staring at the latest employee turnover report from Metrocycle's flagship Portland store. The numbers didn't lie. Something was wrong. Though sales were stable, complaints were piling up, morale was plummeting, and seasoned employees were quitting without notice. For a company built on community and craftsmanship, this was a red flag Elliot couldn't ignore. When he founded Metrocycle 15 years ago, he was just a broke mechanic fixing up old bikes in his garage. Now, with 9 stores across the Pacific Northwest and a loyal customer base, Elliot had tried to stay involved, but lately he'd been relying too much on regional managers to relay the truth. And those managers? They all sang the same tired chorus, "No one wants to work anymore. The younger generation isn't reliable. We're doing the best we can." Elliot didn't buy it. Those explanations were too convenient. His gut told him that the problem wasn't with the workers, it was with the leadership. And if he wanted real answers, he'd have to see the truth with his own eyes. That night, Elliot made a decision. He would go undercover. He contacted a professional makeup artist who specialized in disguise work and asked for a full transformation. By morning, Elliot no longer looked like a CEO in his 40s. He looked like a worn-down man in his 60s, with streaks of gray in his beard, added wrinkles around his eyes, and a slight limp to complete the illusion. He looked every bit the aging part-time laborer. He picked out thrift store clothes, swapped out his sleek watch for a cheap plastic one, and applied online for a custodial position under the alias Eli Green. A week later, he was scheduled for orientation at the Portland store, the very location where the complaints had been the loudest. As he packed a duffel bag and prepared to leave his penthouse apartment for a modest motel near the store, Elliot felt something strange: nerves. Not about the physical work, but about what he might discover. This wasn't just a mission to expose bad management, it was a test of his company's soul. Metrocycle had once been his dream, but now Elliot was about to find out if it had become a nightmare for the people on the ground. Elliot arrived at the Portland Metrocycle location just before sunrise, the sky still dim and tinted with gray. Dressed in a faded utility jacket, worn jeans, and steel-toed boots, he shuffled in with his head down and a thermos in hand. The showroom lights flickered on inside the glass-walled store, illuminating rows of sleek bicycles and branded merchandise that he had once proudly helped design. But today, he wasn't the visionary CEO. He was Eli Green, the new janitor. He entered through the employee entrance and stood quietly at the edge of the back office, waiting to be acknowledged. Travis, the store manager, barely looked up from his phone. "Janitor, right? Mops are in the back. Bathrooms need attention." That was it. No greeting, no orientation, no eye contact, just orders. Elliot nodded, suppressing the urge to react. He retrieved the mop and cleaning supplies, silently taking in the space. The shop floor was already buzzing with tension. At the front counter, a young woman named Janelle was juggling a line of early customers, ringing up purchases while answering the phone and helping a family pick out helmets. She moved quickly, but there was a heaviness in her shoulders and the kind of forced smile Elliot had seen too many times. Behind the repair desk, a wiry teenager named Leo was hunched over a bike frame, sweat collecting at his temples as he scrambled to finish a tune-up. Elliot noted the chaos with concern. The Saturday morning rush had begun, yet there were only 3 employees visibly working. As he swept near the service area, he heard Leo call out, "We're backed up. Anyone else available to help in the garage?" Travis didn't even look up. "Figure it out," he muttered from his perch at the register, smoothie in hand. The dismissal stung, and not just for Leo. Elliot clenched the mop tighter. This wasn't poor management, this was negligence. Throughout the morning, Elliot moved silently between the showroom, repair bay, and bathrooms, cleaning and observing. Customers waited too long for help. Bikes stacked up in the back, unserviced. Employees looked stretched to their limits, and through it all, Travis stood in the front like a ghost, invisible but useless. Elliot had come searching for cracks in the system, but what he was seeing wasn't a crack. It was a slow collapse. By noon, Elliot's body was already aching. The physical labor wasn't foreign to him. He had spent years cleaning bike chains and hauling gear when Metrocycle was just an idea in his garage. But now, older in appearance and under disguise, he felt every creak in his back like a spotlight on his limitations. He shuffled into the cramped employee break room tucked behind the storage racks, grabbed a shrink-wrapped sandwich from the vending machine, and settled into the far corner, hoping to observe more in peace. Most of the employees who came and went barely looked his way. He wasn't part of the team. He was just the janitor. But one person did notice. A tall, silver-haired mechanic with oil-streaked fingers and a lunch bag in hand paused at the doorway, then walked over. "Mind if I sit?" he asked, his voice low and worn like gravel under tires. Elliot glanced up. "Go ahead." The man sat across from him and unwrapped his sandwich carefully. "You're new," he said. "Haven't seen you around." Elliot nodded. "Just started today." The man extended a hand. "I'm Marcus, been here a while." Elliot shook it, keeping his cover intact. "Eli." There was a pause, then Marcus chuckled. "You don't talk much, huh?" "That's all right. Just know this place, it ain't what it used to be." Elliot looked up, intrigued. Marcus took a bite, chewed slowly, then said, "Back when we had only 3 stores, it felt like a crew, you know? We had each other's backs. Now it's just about pushing bikes out the door, no time to breathe." He sighed and added, "Travis? He doesn't lead. He hides. Cuts people's hours, dodges complaints, ignores injuries. You cross him, he makes your life hell." Elliot's stomach turned. Everything Marcus said lined up with what he had seen. "So why stay?" he asked, carefully. Marcus glanced at him. "Got a kid in college, wife's on disability. I've got bills to pay, man. I clock in, do my job, and keep my mouth shut. That's how you survive here now." He gave Elliot a look that said more than his words. "But you? Keep your head down. Travis doesn't like questions." The warning was clear. The culture here wasn't just broken, it was hostile. Elliot leaned back, his untouched sandwich in hand, thinking not just about Travis, but about himself. How would he let it get this bad without noticing? The answer was beginning to form, by trusting the wrong people and by staying too far removed. That was going to change. The afternoon shift was barely underway when the tension that had been simmering all morning finally reached a breaking point. Elliot was wiping down the service counter when a loud clatter erupted from the back garage, followed by a sharp yelp. He rushed toward the noise and found Leo on the ground, clutching his wrist. A heavy bike stand tipped over beside him. The teen's face was twisted in pain, his breathing shallow. "Slipped," he winced. "Burned my hand earlier but didn't say anything. Couldn't grip properly." Elliot knelt beside him, examining the wrist. It was swelling fast and turning red. This wasn't a minor scrape. It needed immediate attention. Before he could say anything, Travis appeared at the edge of the room, arms crossed, an expression unreadable. "What now?" he groaned, eyeing the scene like it was an inconvenience. Janelle came sprinting in behind him. "He's hurt," she said, crouching beside Leo. "He needs to go to urgent care." Travis rolled his eyes. "He's fine, just clumsy. Get back to work." The apathy in his voice made Elliot's blood boil. "No," Elliot said, standing up. "He's not fine. He's injured. He shouldn't be on the floor." Travis turned to him, eyes narrowing. "Who asked you, janitor?" Elliot didn't back down. "This kid needs medical attention. He shouldn't have been working through a burn in the first place." The tension in the room crackled. A few employees nearby had stopped working, drawn by the raised voices. Janelle straightened beside Leo, her voice firm. "If he's not getting seen, I'm calling corporate myself." Travis's jaw tensed. He looked around, suddenly realizing all eyes were on him. "Fine," he snapped. "Go. But don't expect special treatment when you come back." Leo didn't wait for permission. He stood up with Janelle's help and made his way toward the back exit, cradling his wrist. Elliot remained still, jaw clenched. This wasn't just bad management. It was outright negligence. Travis's refusal to act, even when faced with a clear injury, was more than incompetence. It was cruel. As Elliot picked up the fallen bike stand, he glanced at the nearby staff, who were whispering now, side-eyeing Travis. The silent contract that had kept them obedient was beginning to fracture. And Elliot knew that crack was the opening he needed. The next morning, Elliot arrived at the store before opening, hoping to ease into the shift unnoticed. But it didn't take long for Travis to retaliate. "Bathroom duty all day," he snapped, slapping a clipboard against Elliot's chest without a glance. "Since you're so eager to help, scrub the grout with the handheld brush." It was a clear punishment, a petty show of power. Elliot accepted the clipboard silently, masking his frustration behind a tired nod. He wasn't here to challenge Travis directly yet. He needed to understand the full scope of the damage first. As Elliot worked through the day, scrubbing sinks, hauling trash, wiping dusty baseboards, he kept his ears open and eyes sharper than ever. He saw Janelle limping slightly from a long shift on her feet, still managing customer orders and returns on her own. He caught Marcus rubbing his lower back between repairs, stretching subtly when he thought no one was watching. Everyone moved with the practiced exhaustion of people who knew their complaints wouldn't matter. During a quiet moment behind the repair counter, Elliot found Janelle refilling display hooks. "You holding up okay?" he asked. She jumped a little, startled, then gave a tired smile. "Yeah, just another day," he hesitated. "Why do you stay?" Her smile faltered. She looked away. "Because I have to. I'm in school. My mom's helping, but I've got bills, textbooks. I need this job." She paused, then added, "If I could change one thing? Respect. People treat us like we're disposable here." That hit Elliot hard. Respect was supposed to be the cornerstone of Metrocycle's culture. Somewhere along the way, that had eroded. Later, in the back storage room, Elliot approached Marcus, who was organizing spare parts. "If someone higher up actually listened, what would you say?" Marcus gave him a look, half wary, half amused. "Honestly, I'd tell them to clean the house. This place needs new leadership, starting with Travis." Elliot nodded slowly, heart heavy with confirmation of what he already suspected. This wasn't a case of one bad manager. It was a culture of fear and silence, and worse, one that had taken root under his watch. He'd trusted people like Travis to carry the torch. Instead, they'd used that torch to burn down everything he'd built. The evidence was clear, and now, so was Elliot's next move. The following morning, the energy inside the Portland store felt brittle, like something waiting to snap. Elliot arrived early once again, quietly helping Marcus wipe down the cafe tables near the bike accessories section. The older man gave him a sideways glance. "You stirred things up yesterday," he said in a hushed voice. "Travis has got it out for you now." Elliot met his gaze and nodded. "I figured as much." Just as he finished folding a rag, Travis's voice sliced through the calm like a rusty gear. "Eli, my office, now." The back office was dimly lit and cluttered, full of unopened boxes and a computer from the early 2000s. Travis leaned against the desk, arms crossed like a school principal, ready to scold. "You think you're smart?" he snapped. "You've been here, 2 days? Already running your mouth, sticking your nose where it doesn't belong?" Elliot didn't respond. He just let the man talk. "I don't care where you worked before. Around here, I'm in charge, not you." "I wasn't trying to step on toes," Elliot replied calmly. "Just helping where I could." "Helping?" Travis barked a laugh. "You embarrass me. You don't get to decide who gets to leave or who's hurt." "That's my call." He took a step forward, eyes blazing. "You've got no idea what it takes to run a place like this." Elliot stared at him for a long beat, and then, quietly, he said, "You're right. I don't know what it's like to run a store where nobody feels safe." With that, he turned and walked out. The floor was bustling with employees preparing for the morning crowd, but Elliot didn't stop. He stepped into the center of the showroom, took a deep breath, and slowly removed his glasses, his gray wig, and the padded vest beneath his shirt. Conversations hushed. Jaws dropped. Even Marcus froze mid-movement. Travis, emerging from the office with his usual swagger, stumbled to a stop when he saw what was happening. "My name is Elliot Grant," he said, clearly, his voice echoing through the store. "I'm the founder and CEO of Metrocycle." The silence was thunderous. Janelle's mouth hung open. Marcus dropped the microfiber towel in his hand. Travis turned white. I came here undercover, Elliot continued, because something felt wrong, and now I've seen it with my own eyes. His gaze locked on Travis. You're fired. Effective immediately. Travis's face twisted, sputtering. You can't just... I can, Elliot said, cutting him off. And I just did. After Travis stormed off toward the back office to pack his things, the store remained silent. Employees exchanged glances, their faces a blend of disbelief, relief, and cautious hope. Elliot stood at the center of it all, letting the moment settle. This isn't just about firing one person, he finally said, voice steady. It's about rebuilding what we lost, starting right here, today. He turned to Marcus, who was still frozen near the accessory wall. You've been here longer than anyone. You've kept this place running, even when others didn't care. I want you to step up as interim store lead. Marcus blinked. Me? I'm just a mechanic. Elliot shook his head. You're a leader. You've been one all along. You just haven't had the authority to make real change. Until now. Before Marcus could respond, Janelle stepped forward. What about us? She asked softly, unsure whether to hope. Elliot smiled. You've shown courage. You've held things together under pressure. I want you as assistant manager. Help Marcus rebuild this place, together. Janelle's eyes widened. I won't let you down. I know you won't, Elliot said. Just then, Leo returned from urgent care, his wrist wrapped in a bandage, confusion on his face. Did I miss something? He asked. Janelle laughed. Really laughed for the first time in days. Everything. Elliot turned back to the group. Starting today, you'll have the support you've been denied. I want a full list of what needs fixing. Schedules, equipment, staffing. No more being stretched too thin. No more silence. We'll repair this place together. Marcus, slowly finding his voice, nodded. First thing, fair pay. We're bleeding good people because they can't afford to stay. Elliot replied without hesitation. Already in motion. Wages are being reviewed across all stores. That changes now. Janelle added, we need structured schedules. People are burning out because we're always scrambling. Make a list, Elliot said. You'll get what you need. For the first time in a long while, the employees didn't just hear promises, they believed them. Change wasn't just possible, it had already begun. The mood in the store shifted like a fresh breeze through a dusty room. Where once there had been tension and fatigue, now there was cautious optimism. Employees straightened their backs a little more, conversations that used to be whispered in frustration were now bubbling with ideas. Elliot walked the floor with purpose, listening to every voice, writing down suggestions, and, more importantly, responding to them with action. This wasn't just a performance. This was a promise, taking root. Marcus, though still visibly processing his promotion, was already checking inventory and reviewing workload distribution. If I'm going to lead, he told Elliot quietly, I want to do it right. That means being present, not hiding in the back office. Elliot nodded. That's exactly why I chose you. Janelle, on the other hand, jumped into her new role with eager energy. She started reworking the scheduling board before her shift even ended. If we plan ahead and cross-train right, she said, no one will feel like they're drowning anymore. Leo approached them during his break, his bandaged wrist resting in a sling. Just one question, he said with a grin. Does this mean I can finally request a new chain press for the workshop? Elliot chuckled and clapped a hand on his shoulder. Put it on the list. But the real moment of clarity came when Marcus turned to Elliot and asked, what about the other stores? If this was happening here, his voice trailed off, but the implication hung in the air. Elliot's expression turned serious. I'm going to every location myself, he said. No more relying on filtered reports from people protecting their own image. I need to see what's really going on, everywhere. Janelle nodded, clearly impressed. That's how we'll know you mean it. I do, Elliot replied. This is just the beginning. I can't fix everything overnight, but from this moment forward, no MetroCycle employee will feel ignored. That's my word. Around the room, employees stood a little taller, shoulders a bit lighter. The store hadn't changed physically, but the atmosphere had. Trust was starting to rebuild. Not through speeches, but through action. Elliot looked at Marcus one last time. You ready? Marcus took a breath, then offered a firm nod. Let's do this right. The road ahead was long, but for the first time in a while, it pointed in the right direction. The story of Elliot Grant's undercover journey through his own company reveals a powerful lesson in leadership. Real success isn't built in boardrooms. It's built on the front lines. By stepping into the shoes of his employees, Elliot discovered that spreadsheets and reports could never capture what his people were truly experiencing: burnout, disrespect, and a toxic work culture masked by managerial apathy. The failure wasn't just in one manager, it was in the silence that leadership had allowed to grow. The lesson is clear: leaders must stay connected, visible, and accountable. It's not enough to delegate and assume loyalty will carry on without oversight. Culture must be nurtured, not assumed. And when trust is broken, it takes humility, action, and courage to rebuild it. Elliot also learned the value of listening, not just hearing complaints, but truly understanding them and empowering those who are often overlooked. By promoting from within and recognizing the quiet strength of people like Marcus and Janelle, he proved that leadership doesn't always wear a title. It shows up in action. Ultimately, the story reminds us that leadership is not about control, it's about trust, service, and the responsibility to uplift those who keep the wheels turning, literally and figuratively.